Okay, we're going to make a video of my tripod that I built to lift tombstones in a cemetery to get them set up right, and other little maintenance things that I worked on. So let's get started. So in the description, I'm going to list everything that I think I bought to make this, because I've had a dozen people ask me how I built this. Some people question the way I built it. Other people compliment me. I've used it. It hasn't caved in, hasn't fallen down. No one's died. And so far everybody's happy. So let's start here at the top. So I took a 1/2-inch plywood. Actually, this might be 5/8. Let's double check that. It's actually 1/2 inch. So if I measure this, it's about 2 inches total. So 1/2 inch, 4 pieces of 1/2 inch. Sandwiched in between, you can't even tell, each one of these is a square piece of about 20 gauge sheet metal, like ductwork. And those aren't cut round. You can see like a little gap here. I cut those pretty much square, and I just got them sandwiched between there just to add some added strength. Was it necessary? I don't know, but it just makes me feel a little bit better. So let's go through some parts here. So I bought these angle brackets right off the shelf, and they already had 1/2 inch holes drilled in there, and it basically works almost perfectly for this. Kind of wish that extra hole wasn't there, because I don't really need that, but it is, but it's okay. So first thing I did, I built this round thing, got that sandwiched together. I put a couple of screws in there to the top here. You can't see, maybe they're at the bottom. There's one, and that was just to hold it in place until I could drill these holes. So these are 1/2 inch holes. These are 1/2 inch bolts I put through there. Like I said, I got a list of everything I bought in the description, and I laid these out. I spaced these out. I made like a little test jig of the 2x4 to work with as I was placing this together. I put these fender washers in between here, add a little gap here so the 2x4s aren't rubbing and creating friction and wearing down the 2x4, damaging the wood. The holes drilled through here are 1/2 inch, so I had to use a hammer basically to tap these bolts through here, tap them through there, because that's a nice tight squeeze. I don't want any slop in there. It doesn't wiggle. Those are nice and snug. These are 1/2 inch bolts. The lengths I'll put in the description. These bolts are shorter than these bolts up here. I put fender washers up here for added strength to disperse the weight. Actually, there's no weight pulling down. The weight is on this side pushing down when you lift. But just to be sure, this is a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch. I think it's 5/8. And got a nut here, 2 fender washers here. I also put a nut here and a washer here, so I could snug that down and act as a spacer. So you usually get a nut when you buy one of these, and then I had to buy an extra nut to put on the other side. Let's see what else. So basically this setup is, ×3 for each leg. And like I said, I spaced these around, got them equally spaced. I think it's 6 inches from here to here, all the way around. And you gotta do a little bit of math. And like I said, I made this little test jig to put that in there to make sure. You have to like cut that out, because when you turn the leg out, it like needs some clearance like this. So basically it's almost like this one's right up to the top, and then like this. So I cut this and got it tested so it was working perfectly, and then I just laid this on top of the other ones and cut it with a jigsaw. Same thing with the hole. Once I got the hole, actually I'm not sure what I did that hole for, but maybe I was just testing the drill. I don't know. But I got the hole measured perfectly the first time and used that as a template. I would actually lay down on top of the 2x4s and then drill right through this hole, and then so I made sure I was getting the right hole here because I didn't want to screw these up, these 10-footers. So that is about it for here. This eye bolt is rated for 5,400 pounds. I don't plan on lifting more than maybe 500 pounds with this contraption. When people are commenting that these legs are probably weak, for what I'm doing, this is good. If I was going to do anything heavier, I probably would have used 4x4s. The other thing, I used to teach at a career center, vocational center, that has a welding program in high school kids. If I was going to make this sturdier, I'd probably take pictures of something like this, go talk to the welding teacher, donate some money, and see if some welding students could make this out of steel, and then use angle iron here. So basically make all this out of iron, steel. You'd probably have to buy these parts for them to use, but the steel, they probably have scrap steel. They could make it for you. And then if I make another one, I'm trying not to get too deep into this cemetery project thing I'm doing, but if I make another one, I'd make it 3.5 inches wide, use 4x4s. Now, carrying 3 10-foot 4x4s is probably not very doable for somebody who's getting old like me. So what I'd probably do is use some type of pin for the legs. So basically, I would take the pins out, put the legs in my truck separately. When I get to the cemetery, get it to the location, carry the 4x4 over, lay it there, put the pin through with a cotter pin, I think you'd probably call it, and kind of assemble it on site, make it so you can take it apart so you can carry it easier. But this I can carry pretty easily. Somebody asked about fitting in my truck. So I got a 6.5-foot bed with that tarp up. I put it at the angle, one corner on this side, and kind of come out this way, and it sticks out about 3 feet. So in Illinois, if it sticks out more than 4 feet, you got to put a red flag on there. So this doesn't stick out more than 4 feet. And then it's kind of up in the air at this angle. So I'm not worried about anything. So let's look at the bottom here. I drilled holes, put these eye hooks in here, put a nut on both sides like this, and this is to put, when you spread that out, put a chain around there. And I got these little hooks here that hold on the chain to keep the legs from spreading out more than you want to. So I get it set up the way I want it, and then I clip the chains on just for an added safety feature. Some people think, safety, you're using 2x4s. That's not safe. Well, it is what it is. Also makes it nice that I can run a bungee cord around there and snap it on to help carry it. And it's actually easy to carry. I just come up here and grab both sides right here, and it's not that hard to carry. Now, probably the hardest part of this whole thing was finding 2x4s. They didn't have a bunch of knots in there. I might have did better if I would have looked at the treated lumber pile. You can't really buy it at Menards. You can't buy premium 10-foot 2x4s. You can 8-footers, but not 10-footers. These are just all like construction grade. So I do have like a crack here, which I don't like. But if I determine that these are going to be too flimsy, I will maybe shorten it down to 8-foot and buy some premium 2x4s that maybe don't have knots in there. But I searched like the whole pile to try to find 3 of the best 2x4s I could find without a lot of knots. This is not like good here, because that's where it would probably break if it does break. But I'm not lifting a lot of weight. I did some testing. I did some calculations on AI, and each leg should hold, I think it said like about 600 pounds at a certain angle, being if it's a perfect 2x4. So lifting 300-400 pounds should be fine. So what else I got? I got some lifting straps. The rig around the Tombstones. Here's the chain I use for the bottom. So I got a list of everything. I bought a 10-foot chain and a 20-foot chain. So when the legs are spread out, they're about 9 feet apart, 8 to 9 feet apart. So you have a little extra chain left over. And then I got a 1-ton hoist here, which was given to me, but you can buy these at places like Harbor Freight or Amazon, obviously. So this is actually a very good brand. I looked it up. It's very reputable. It's probably pretty old, but man, it does a great job. When you're hoisting up and down, you'll have 400 or 500 pounds in there, and you're pulling that chain. You can't tell that there's any weight on there. So there's a little thing here. I might have to go. That might be there for a reason. I better check that out. Don't want anything failing. Actually, there's no weight on this. This is just to make it go up and down. So this is where the weight is on these chains over here. So I'm good. Don't worry about me. All right. So any questions, put them in the comments. I'll put a list of the materials in the description. And just, you know, I don't take any responsibility if this does not work and it falls down and kills somebody. I'm just showing you what I'm doing and what worked for me, and that's completely it. So have a good day.